beautiful. Today, together, we're going to enrich the soil of possibility. Possibility. It's a thing that may happen. Probability. A thing that probably will happen. So, how are we going to enrich the soil? Some people like to call it dirt. You know, when kids are playing in the yard or something, the mother yells out, "Get out of that dirt." And they'll say, "Mommy, it ain't dirt, it's soil. It's soil, it's something we can nurture. It can nurture us, it can enrich us, we can plant seeds in it. It's soil." And that gives me a great idea. I am going to give all y'all, a homework assignment right from the beginning. Isn't that thrilling? The homework assignment is today, what kind of seed are you going to plant in your divine soil? Some people have divine compost, divine fertilizer to absolutely make the soil so rich and everything. But what kind of a seed are you going to plant in your life today? Be thinking of it while I'm talking about everything. Because today there are two ways of looking at things, looking at life. One is through the eyes of the ego, and the other is through the eyes of love. We can always choose whether we're going to listen to the voice of the ego or listen to the voice of love. We create positive relationships only when we listen to the voice of love, because each of us was born with a power right within us to accept that beautiful love, to love unconditionally. How sweet that is, to bring love into all of our relationships. It's our investment in the ego that blocks our awareness of love and love's presence. So today we'll describe how it's possible to let go of our attachment to the past, to the voice of ego, and start listening to the voice of love. So Nona Brooks tells us, everybody, look for ways to be kind. That's one thing she is asking us to do. Look for ways to be kind. And so this week, I decided to explore something I haven't for a long time. Ernest Holmes used to have a radio program, and then he had a television program. And I decided to watch one of his programs because he speaks with stentorian tones, and to see him talking about these principles which we knew and which I know and love, I loved listening to him. And so the program I watched was called Your Life is All Up to, guess who? You. That's what he called the program. And so I'm going to replay some of it because I feel like I'm Ernest Holmes communicating with you through me. And he starts with, have you ever heard it before? There is a power at the center of the universe, a power of your being that's so wonderful that it staggers the mind and imagination to try and think of it. This thing is called life. It is in you and in everything and in every one of us. It's in every one of us. Where have we heard that before? Life has already provided for your happiness, your physical well being, and your success. It has already placed the power to live at the center of your being, but it is up to you to uncover this power, to make it a reality. It's up to you to rearrange, I love that, to rearrange your thinking about yesterday so you won't carry it into today. It's up to you to confidently look to tomorrow so you won't be plagued by what might happen. You, like everyone else, which is you want to be well and happy and successful, and the secret longings of your heart must flow from you, from a secret source. A little seed planted in the ground, we're talking about that. A little seed planted in the ground tries to express itself and to blossom. Life is only for us because it happens through us. Back of everything, there is a power and intelligence that puts everything together. There is everything together. In the mind of humanity is the Spirit of God waiting to come into expression. Thank you, Ernest. You said that so beautifully and mellifluously. So then he likes to quote Emerson, and I love to quote it, and I want to quote it today. Emerson said, "Let us take our blessed nothingness, let us take our bloated nothingness out of the way." I want to say that again because I love saying it. Let us take our bloated nothingness out of the way of divine circuits. What are those circuits as we take our bloated nothingness out of the way? There is a woman, her name is Becca Levy, and she wrote a fascinating book called Breaking the Age Code. And she tells us that 75% of our health is determined by environmental factors, some of which we can actually change, such as our attitude towards aging. So, you know what I want you to do right now? I want you to say to yourself 5 words that you associate with aging. The first 5 words that come to you that associate with aging. I want you to do the first 5 words that come and not just think about it. It's so interesting. If you asked a typical American, you definitely are not typical. You are so special. But if you asked a typical American this question, what 5 words would you associate with aging? You would get responses like feeble, sick, forgetful, depressed. Did any of you get any of those? Or if you asked a typical Chinese person the same question, you know what you get? You get words like wise, experienced, useful, and kind. How could that be? How could that be? Because in China, they honor and love the elderly. They have a day celebrating it. They absolutely listen to their wise elders. They just love and respect their elders. So 5 words were sick, were not sick. 5 words were wise. 5 words were not forgetful. Those words were experienced. 5 words depressed. Their words were absolutely useful and kind. How sweet that is. You know, if there is a drugstore and they had a drug that would prolong life and produce such advantages, everybody be rushing to the pharmacist to get a lifetime drug. But this is more than just opening up our mouth and popping a pill into it. It takes inner work. It takes inner work to develop this quality. And you know, life is prolonged 7 and a half or 8 days or 8 days if we absolutely watch our words and respect our words. It's so awesome. Our words are so important. Positive age beliefs live an average of 7.5 and 8 years longer. 7.5 and 8 years longer with positive age beliefs. Over and above the influence of gender, race, socioeconomic class status, loneliness, and health, over and above all of that, a positive attitude towards age prolongs our life 7.5 or 8 years longer than negative thoughts about aging. The idea is that older employees drag down the workplace. This is utterly nonsense, utterly false. People think that older employees just drag down the business, and that's not true. What happens is older workers take fewer days off than other workers. Older workers don't leave a lot for because of sickness. They benefit from their experience and they bring that experience to the workplace. They have strong work ethics and they are often very innovative. They just let it all hang out and they benefit from their experience, and it's so helpful. Teams that include older people on the team have seen how effective they are. They're much more effective than those teams that don't have older members in part of the team. Indeed, positive age beliefs not only lengthen our life, they increase that life. So they not only benefit, but they increase that life. So for having our attitude towards the elderly, it's a double benefit. Aren't we blessed? We get a double benefit. You know, I work on practicing love wherever I go and love whomever I'm with. And there's so many people in the world. I love them, but I can't hang out with all of them. So what I do is I can be choosy about the people I hang out with. I think about what people lift me up, who makes me feel good about myself, who is kind and loving, and who feels the same about me. These are the people I want in my life. Being intentional about who I spend my time with, not only just setting boundaries. You know what this is? Choosing those people is an act of empowerment, and it's an act of love for myself. and other people. In the olden days, I used to remember Winston Churchill, one of the big three in World War II. And I remember when he gave a speech to a graduating class, he walked up to the microphone and he said, "Never give up." And then he paused. And he looked at them again and he said, "Never give up." And he paused. And he said, "Never give up." And he sat down. And I've always been so impressed with that because it was a great speech. I decided to look it up on the internet and see how it really went. And you know what he really said? He really said, "Never give in." He didn't say never give up, although I love that. He said, "Never give in." And what did he say? He said, "Never give in." Never, never, never. In nothing great or small, large or petty, except give in to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force, to the apparent overwhelming might of the enemy. Never give in. I love that too. And I want to acquaint you with somebody that I absolutely love and respect, who loved the earth, who loved nature. His name was George Washington Carver. And during World War II, he was very popular and very, very famous. He absolutely heard from 3 presidents who contacted him, including Teddy Roosevelt, and wanted his advice about things. But did you know he was born into slavery in 1864? And he has done so many wonderful things, including developing 300 products from the peanuts and also 100 product from sweet potato. And so he was born in Diamond, Missouri, and he displayed an early love for nature and for plants. And they used to report that he would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go out into nature in the forest and talk to his plants. He would talk to his plants. And I was so impressed with that. He was a very spiritual man, very spiritual man. And so he encouraged farmers to rest their crops, particularly since the boll weevil destroyed all the cotton crops. And he encouraged them to grow peanuts and sweet potatoes to alter the crops and let them rest. And so when he was young, he was a slave for Mr. Carver, and he would call himself, when he was introduced, "I am Carver's George." And a friend of his, after the Civil War and they were freed, a friend told him, "You never should ever call yourself Carver's George ever again, because you aren't Carver's George. And so you are your own George. And who are you going to be? What is your name going to be?" And so he took the name of George Carver. And his friend said, "Why don't you take a middle initial? So you can differentiate from Mr. Carver." And so he took W. And his friend said, "What's the W going to stand for?" And he said, "I guess I'll take Washington." So that's how come he got the name George Washington Carver. And when he was about 12, he left the plantation and he went out to get an education. and then he got very, very sick. And so Mr. Carver went all over looking for George and found him and took him back home. And Mrs. Carver taught him how to read, and he learned to appreciate music and love, and he finally left home to get an education. And at first, he majored in music, and majored, he didn't major in absolutely, absolutely the crops and the plants. He didn't change. He could get a high school degree in his late 20s. He attended Simpson College in Iowa, which became Iowa State, and it turned into an agriculture college. And he earned his bachelor degree in agricultural science in 1894 and his master's degree in 1896. And so he didn't care about money. He didn't care about fame. He got awards and he lived in Tuskegee. Booker T. Washington was the president of Tuskegee and invited him to come and serve on the faculty. And so he just lived in a room in his laboratory working on all of these things to heal nature and help the farmers grow more fruitful. I'm so impressed with him. He was so very famous. They've named schools and they've named streets, they've named everything after him, and he was so humble. I think he's very, very cool. And so there you go. So in his early life, I shared with you, he stayed true to his values. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now what I'd like to share with you, what's happening to the seed you're going to plant. I want you to plant a seed of something you're really passionate about, and I want you to choose one thing only, and create a plan for it and write it down. And don't tell a lot of people about it because they always have comments, particularly family, about what you're doing. Keep it to yourself or maybe share it with one of your friends who really supports you and loves you. Do that. So great. So, in conclusion, what I want to tell you is I would like to tell you some poems by Hafiz and Rumi, two of my super duper favorite. They obviously were passionate about life. This is a poem Hafiz said. This place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you. Wherever your eyes and arms and heart move against the earth and the sky, the beloved has bowed there. The beloved has bowed there, knowing you were coming. And here's another poem by him. Even after all this time, the sun never said to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the sky. So beautiful. And now here are some poems by Rumi. Look past your thoughts so you may drink the pure nectar of this moment. Look past your thoughts so you may drink the pure nectar of this moment. And he said, there is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. How wonderful is that? Won't you join me for treatment? Dearly beloved God, all of you are here, and I am a seed of you, an individualized seed of you. I live planting and converting that holy divine soil, that divine soil that blossoms and blossoms. I am passionate about my life. I'm authentic about my life. I feel your presence physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally as I plant my seed in that beautiful, beautiful soil. Yes, that holy soil. How wonderful as it sprouts, however long it takes, whether I pour the water on it, whether I keep it nourished, I have it facing the sun, whatever I do, it absolutely nurtures it for all humanity. I'm so grateful to be an individualized expression of God. I am passionate about my life. I love it. It's such an opportunity to grow and deepen and express. I am so very, very grateful as we all are divine expressions. I surrender these words into that fabulous universal law which slurps them up and instantaneously manifests them, even as I am now speaking. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen.